Alright, I found this video called I Found Gaming's Worst Moral Choice, Mass Effect 3 by Stanky Choices. Let's see what he's gonna say. The Robots Omega DLC.
Hi all, Stanky here. Let's talk moral choices in gaming. Chances are, if you've ever played an RPG, there has been a point where you have been faced with a deep moral dilemma. These
Karma must help Brandon who's dead, or shoot him. Talk about a binary choice, polar opposites. Oh dear. I remember the very first game I played that had choices was the first Fable game, and that was 15. I was very late to the series, so I would say somewhere between 15 and 20 years ago. I was a few years late.
there has been
And let's just say I was at first excited, but then that soon wore off, and I was disappointed because of how little impact those choices were.
Let's talk moral choices in gaming. Chances are, if you've ever played an RPG, there has been a point where you have been faced with a deep moral dilemma. These typically are situations filled with moral ambiguity, situations where there are extreme positives and negatives, situations that allow the player plenty of room to sort it out in their head. These are moral choices.
What game am I looking at? Is this the must be Baldur's Gate, given that I see dice. And it's supposed to be treated like a board game, I think. Anyway.
Good RPGs allow the player to sort it out in their head. These are moral choices. Good RPGs allow the player to feel their choices impact the world. Do you side with the Bloody Baron? Kill the druids or goblins? Side with the Gethar Quarians? These are all examples that allow the player to interpret the RPG's narrative and make compelling choices. But today we ain't gonna talk about none of that. I believe I found the worst moral choice in gaming in Mass Effect 3's awful Omega DLC. So, let's jump in.
And hold on, before we go any further.
Narrative and make
Which mission was this? I see Cerberus forces. Okay, that must be a Turian down there, but which mission is this? I don't remember. It doesn't look like the Citadel DLC at all. Yet I see Cerberus fighting other people. Can't remember.
Choices. But today we ain't gonna talk about none of that. I believe I found the worst moral choice in gaming in Mass Effect 3's awful Omega DLC. So,
finally, somebody else who agrees with me that Omega was really, well, I wouldn't say it was the worst, like you did, but it's a close second. You know, I don't have time to explain it. Let me know if you want me to explain further down in the comments below. Thank you.
Let's jump in. Spoilers for a mediocre DLC, I guess. But Mass Effect 3's Omega DLC centers on going to the asteroid Omega, a crime-ridden space station. Oh no, Omega has been taken over by General Boring. So Commander Shepard teams up with a crime boss named Aria to take it back. The thing is, Aria sucks.
No, she does not. She was cool in her own way, and super sexy in her own way as well. I can totally imagine her and an ultra-renegade Commander Shepard making a good couple.
Aria to take it back. The thing is, Aria sucks.
I am Omega. The hard way.
I don't care.
I'm itching for revenge.
Aria's brilliant plan is to fly an entire fleet into the space station and get everyone killed, and then she spends the entire DLC being stupidly reckless.
You're a dead man. No, wait!
Aria is terrible.
That has got to be one of the weirdest traps I've ever seen in the history of video games, because it relies on someone being dumb enough to climb over furniture to get to you instead of going around the pathways. I don't see a trap in the pathway. There's instead a trap over a path that doesn't exist, one that you rely on your enemy being, weird enough to climb over. Weird.
But not in a fun way.
And plus, you cannot deny she's got great hips.
One killed, and then she spends the entire DLC being stupidly reckless.
You're a dead man. No, wait!
Arya is terrible, but not in a fun way. Like, she's somehow boring and frustratingly evil. Arya should be this flawed, pragmatic character, like Yennefer from The Witcher. Somebody who does bad things, but for an interesting reason. But nope, Arya is just evil and doesn't care about anything, and that is boring. The other part of the DLC revolves around this character, Nyreen. The TLDR on Nyreen is she runs a gang on Omega, and unlike Arya, she's using her position of power to help people, provide for them. Oh, and these two shared a bunk. So throughout this DLC, you spend time to help people, provide for them. Oh, and these
hold my hand for a while, but you hold my hand. Okay.
These two shared a bunk. So throughout this DLC, you spend time with these two ex-lovebirds as they argue up and down Omega, as they go back and forth about Nyreen being too naive and Arya being too cruel. Blech. None of this matters, though, because they kill off Nyreen in like an hour, just as they start to develop her. But you are essentially stuck with this broken-up couple as they bicker incessantly, because
one of the problems I have is that you're not allowed to save her. I actually went out of my way to save the, there are 12 wounded male Turians scattered throughout Omega. I figured that if I found every one of them and healed them, maybe they would come and rescue her, but it turned out it was a pointless gesture.
Developer. But you are essentially stuck with this broken up couple as they bicker incessantly. Because Arya is the core of this DLC and is so unlikable, everything falls flat. Which brings us to... So we get into a firefight and our bickering couple gets pinned down in a force field. During this firefight, Shepard must shut down this force field and save them. The force field is plugged into the same outlet as life support for 1,000 people. Arya has this lovely dialogue to say.
Yes, and I don't care. Shut it down.
And here is the choice. Do you press a button that kills 1,000 people? Yes or no? That's it. Do you risk 2 unlikable people dying, or do you kill 1,000 people?
Well, considering that they've got plot armor and any smart player would know that ahead of time, not really much of a choice at all.
Do you risk 2 unlikable people dying, or do you kill 1,000 people? To make matters worse, this prompt is on the right trigger, meaning you can accidentally press the button that kills 1,000 people if the button prompt surprises you. If you make the good choice, nothing happens. Nyreen and Arya survive, but Arya is pissed at you for not killing 1,000 people.
Your soft heart almost cost me everything.
Quiet, Arya. It worked. Shepard saved us without sacrificing innocent lives. I applaud her.
I suppose. Whatever.
If you make the evil choice, it plays this dramatic music as you watch 1,000 people die. And the game is also like, why did you do that? Like, it too knows that this is mind-numbingly stupid. Like, the game...
Wait, do we actually see the people die, or is it completely off screen, like so many other countless cop-outs made by Mass Effect 3?
Why did you do that? Like, it too knows...
Thousands of die... Should have tried Shepard. Oh, okay.
1,000 people die. And the game is also like, why did you do that? Like, it too knows that this is mind-numbingly stupid. Like, the game is phoning this in. If you press the button that kills people, Shepard is like, can't risk it. Like, bro, what do you mean? You don't have to press the button that kills people. This is probably some of the laziest RPG writing I have ever seen.
Hey, the entirety of Mass Effect 3 is full of lazy writing. Sheesh.
As there are no repercussions for pressing the kill button. But let's explain why this sucks more in depth. This example from Mass Effect 3 is incredible, because nothing about this choice is compelling or works. Let's break down what BioWare was trying to do. In a nutshell, the choice is this. Do you save the people you care about, or save 1,000 strangers? This is the trolley problem meme. Do you kill the few to save the many, and how does knowing the few impact your choice? This could be interesting, but falls apart immediately. Arya is terrible, and we don't care about Nyreen, so there are absolutely no stakes there. Literally.
That reminds me of the first major choice you're given in Fable 3, and probably one of the few that actually does have a bit of an impact in one way, in a small way, and another way it doesn't have any impact at all. Do I save a large bunch of troublemaking rebels that I don't know and will never see again, or do I save my designated girlfriend for the game, the one that the game made up for you? I may as well save the girl because she's a unique character, and the strangers are just strangers, and we'll never see or hear from them again. It makes absolutely no change whatsoever. If you save them, they'll forget about you instantaneously. You're not remembered, and you don't start off with everybody loving you if you save them by sacrificing your girlfriend, and so yeah, it doesn't make sense.
Do you kill the few to save the many? And how does knowing the few impact your choice? This could be interesting, but falls apart immediately. Arya is terrible, and we don't care about Nyreen, so there are absolutely no stakes there. Literally nothing about this choice works. We don't care about any of the parties involved, so the choice becomes meaningless.
Your insistent bashing of poor Nyreen makes me realize you need to read the trope called on TV tropes. It's called They Wasted a Perfectly Good Character, and you'll find Nyreen right there. She was a squandered character who had lots of potential and was thrown away, because that's what always happens with DLC characters. DLC characters, their fates are pathetically predictable. They're either going to die, or you're going to arrest them, or something, but you're never going to see or hear from them again. Kind of like Maya Brooks and the clone. You already knew what was going to happen to them from the get-go. And same thing with the Vespa conspiracy in that Greedfall game. Any smart player knows this character is going to be bad news in one way or another, and you're going to have to deal with her one way or another, right from the get-go, simply because she's a DLC character. Yeah.
We don't care about any of the parties involved, so the choice becomes meaningless. I mean, shoot, even if it were iconic characters like Tali or Garrus under fire, then the choice becomes slightly more compelling. But for this moral choice to work, we need characters we care about to be in danger. And moreover, we need consequences. Because this is a DLC released after the game came out, there are absolutely no consequences later for killing 1,000 people. I mean, Nyreen is mean to you because...
Very good point. Very good point. The rest of the game is already predetermined, so this choice matters not at all.
Consequences later for killing 1,000 people. I mean, Nyreen is mean to you because of it, but she dies like 20 minutes later anyway, so it doesn't matter. Literally not genociding people amounts to a roleplay choice. Flavor text for your Shepard. So how do we fix this DLC? What would make this DLC's big choice more compelling? Well, good moral choices require the player to weigh the positives and negatives. Good moral choices require the player to weigh the positives.
Attack the monster and turn the botchling into Lubberkin. I only played the first Witcher game, so I don't really know what I'm looking at all. But having a good idea of what's going to happen later on kind of killed my mood before I even got playing. So I got Witcher 2 and 3 still on my Steam library, and I never got around to playing them.
Negatives. Good moral choices are morally gray. They should make the player agonize over compelling pros and cons. If a game gives you a choice where the answer is clear, that's not a good moral choice. A great example of this is actually in Mass Effect 3's base game with the Krogan genophage. The TLDR is this. The Krogan are these warlike frogmen. They used to breed quickly and almost took over.
They're not frogmen. They're crocodile crossed over with turtle. They're turtle crocodile humanoid hybrids, not frogs at all. That's the Solarians.
TLDR is this. The Krogan are these warlike frogmen. They used to breed quickly and almost took over the galaxy until the Council did eugenics on them and they can't have kids no more. In Mass Effect 3, the Krogan are dying out and are on the brink of extinction. It becomes Shepard's choice. Do you cure the Krogan's infertility and risk them taking over the galaxy, or do you risk the Krogan dying out, preventing their expansion? This moral choice is compelling because there is no easy answer, and there is appropriate build-up where you can see both sides. And whatever you choose has massive repercussions in Mass Effect 3. So how do we fix the Omega DLC? How do we make its big...
Well, I cure the genophage, and if they start breeding out of control and Rex and Eve cannot stop them, well, then I simply, I direct them towards the Solarian world, because honestly, if I were to choose one of the 4 council races to sacrifice in order to save the rest of the galaxy, I'd pick the Solarians. I know a lot of people would pick the Blue Beauties, but hey, I'm not going to blame the whole race of hot honeys just because 1 or 2 made bad decisions that screwed over the rest of us. No, the frogs can go.
Repercussions in Mass Effect 3. So how do we fix the Omega DLC? How do we make its big choice more compelling? What if instead, the big choice of this DLC was about who would lead Omega? Let's remove the button press entirely. Do you side with Arya, giving people complete freedom, but they remain lawless in the space station and chaos? Or do you side with Nyreen? Let Omega be brought under a new order from a gang. Everyone is taken care of, but the residents have less freedom. I mean, shoot, in this scenario, we could rewrite Nyreen to be a little bit more pragmatic. In our rewrite, she would still care for the people and want to take care of them, but would be a little bit more authoritarian. And we also aren't going to kill her off. Maybe at the end of the confrontation with General...
Oh, finally, we agree on something. You don't want to kill her off, even though you don't really like her. I do like her, so it's, yeah.
And we also aren't going to kill her off. Maybe at the end of the confrontation with General Boring, it would lead into a boss fight, where you fight whoever you didn't side with.
I do admit that Russian Cerberus officer, service general, turns out to was rather boring. He was fleshed out, but incredibly boring. I'm tripping over my tongue again. Good gravy.
General Boring, it would lead into a boss fight, where you fight whoever you didn't side with. The winner then would take over Omega and hang out on the purgatory couch. Do you kill 1,000 people or risk the lives of 2 unlikable characters is a...
And wait, what would happen to the loser of that fight? And why would the winner hang out on the Citadel? The winner should stay on Omega. I wish Arya stayed there, and I wish that the Omega Hub mod was actually part of the game.
Didn't side with. The winner then would take over Omega and hang out on the purgatory couch. Do you kill 1,000 people or risk the lives of 2 unlikable characters is a brain-dead moral choice. Instead, the choice should be about the future of Omega. Should the people get self-destructive freedom or benevolent authoritarianism? This at least is more interesting than pressing a button to kill people.
And hold on.
Of Omega. Should the people...
What's a Batarian doing there with the mechs?
Get self-destructive freedom or...
Isn't that supposed to be, I'm confused. I could have sworn those were the Krogan were charging at Cerberus troops. It's been too long since I played.
Benevolent authoritarianism. This at least is more interesting than pressing a button to kill people. Look, I don't hate obviously good or bad choices in games. In fact, I do like it in RPGs when developers allow you to be a mustache-twirling villain, doing evil stuff that is so absurd that it just makes you laugh.
Ascension.
I've had enough of your disingenuous assertions.
That should apply to more than half of the mainstream media.
I knew this was a mistake.
Complete dishonesty.
You think you can keep treating the press like this and get away with it?
It's fun, and I do think it's important for RPGs to allow the player to occasionally be cartoonishly good or evil. Not every single choice a player makes should be morally gray, where they have to weigh the pros and cons. Sometimes you just want to be a nice person who does nice things. But if a game like Mass Effect is going to present a morally gray choice,
I prefer Sokka over Aang.
Nice things. But if a game like Mass Effect is going to present a morally gray choice, the writing of that choice better be pretty good. The problem with the button choice is it pretends to be morally gray when it's really not. At no point do we worry about these 2 characters. We certainly do not care for Arya, and Nyreen does not get developed enough.
And I wonder, why was Arya stabilizing poor Nyreen? Does she still have feelings for her deep down? Or is it because she needs her alive as a comrade against the enemy?
We certainly do not care for Arya, and Nyreen does not get developed enough. So
reminds me of the World at War, Call of Duty World at War. Reznov goes out and saves Dmitri, saying, "I need you alive." That was on the first mission they met. And I'm under the impression that he wants me alive simply because, I'm the only one who can fire a sniper rifle.
We certainly do not care for Arya, and Nyreen does not get developed enough. So our moral dilemma is non-existent. I don't want to hang out with these people. Poor Nyreen gets fridged before she gets interesting. The most interesting thing about her is she's a female Turian who's nice. Not enough there. The thing that gets me too is there is absolutely no consequence for killing 1,000 people. Look, I get it. It's a DLC, so mechanically it wouldn't work for there to be repercussions in the base game. But then, maybe don't write that choice, BioWare. maybe write something a little bit more self-contained, my dudes. At the end of the day, Mass Effect 3's Omega DLC has a ton of problems. The environments are bland, the gameplay is repetitive, and you are stuck with a broken up couple that just bickers. On top of Arya being awful, I mean, this is proof that a side character sometimes should just stay a side character. But this choice, this moral button choice, is the icing on the turd cake. The thing that, in my mind, cements this DLC as an all-time stinker.
Let me guess, the engineer.
But hey, disagree. How bad is this choice? Is there one that's worse? Drop your thoughts in the comments down below. This has been Stanky. Love ya. Bye. Remember, this channel is home.
I'm honestly shocked and surprised that you did not, and I'm glad that they finally added the hide button because I got tired of those things blocking the screen. I'm honestly surprised you never brought up the infamous fact that engineer characters, if you decide to play as an engineer, get an unfair advantage. They can simply override the entire dilemma. They can override the lockdown with the simple press of a button, something no other version gets to enjoy. And people were wondering, why is it that never shows up in the entire trilogy outside of that one time in that one DLC? Totally unfair. So it reminds me of that lock on Vermeer that you cannot access unless you have hacking skills. Anyway, yeah, there's a million other things to talk about, and what's arguably worse than having a bad moral choice between two characters you don't like is not being able to have a choice at all. And Mass Effect 2 is what suffers from that. You know, one particular DLC character, Tela Vazir. I absolutely love her, but I'm not allowed to do anything about her. I'm not allowed to save her, show her mercy, spare her, definitely not side with her. And yeah, I hate that. Anyway, take care, y'all, and hit the like button and comments and do some comments down below, please. Thank you.